I know probably the best thing will be to answer some of the questions that you have at the end or while we're navigating, and feel free if you have something, if you see something on the screen that I'm showing you and you have a question about it, feel free to, like, I don't know, raise your hand if you use the icon, or you can interrupt me. That's fine too. I want this time to be helpful, and I want you to be able to get those questions answered. So, because I know it's hard to get all the questions answered when you're in a hurry and trying to make sense of something new. So, so real quick, I want to just let everybody know, if you ever have trouble finding the link to ManageBac, I'll just show you real quick on the school website. Can everybody see my screen okay? I hope. Okay. If here I am on just the homepage of the AL website, and if you scroll down to the bottom, there's a link directly to the portal. Another thing that I'd like to point out to you on the website is, I'm going to pick here in the middle school, heading into our IB middle years program. You can also find a link to, this is kind of hard to read, this font is very blended in there, but these are links here to different aspects of our IB programs. But in particular to you all, there's a link to ManageBac here. I think it works. There we go. Where you can learn more about our grading. I know that's always a question, especially for our new families, 6th grade families when they come. So this link for assessment and gradebook, whoops, here we go. Has some of that information I shared if you were at the student success night. If you're trying to make sense, whoops, I'm sorry, I totally lost where we were. Okay, so we were in the middle years program. And then we scroll down here to ManageBac. And you can see assessment and grades. So if you scroll through this, this is a lot of the information I was sharing in that meeting when it comes to, understanding the different MYP grading scale. It's different from the 1 through 4, and this website should help explain some of that. It also helps you understand how grades are converted at the end of a end of a reporting period, so at semester, and what those what those scores might look like if you're looking at a GPA in a traditional or in like an American system. This scale here will show you how that works.
If you want to find it, go to the Academy Lafayette calendar. Yeah. That's where.
Okay, and then so back to ManageBac. As I was saying, we have links to it on the school web page. So I'll just go ahead. I'm already logged in. I'm always logged into ManageBac. Oh, yep, there's that. Got that happening. The pop-up. So I am automatically logged in to ManageBac, and I am logged in today right now as a parent. I am an AL parent. I have a 7th grader currently. And so, but I also have a fake student account so that I can play around with it and show you things within ManageBac and, do experiments with teachers so that they can see how it works too from the student end to the parent end, while also, and then being able to demonstrate some things for you today. So because I have been using ManageBac for some time, I have it set up the way that I like it. But for many of you, when you first log in, and you should have received, I'm hoping that all of you that are joining today have already been able to log in. I've noticed that most of our parents are logged in and, have been using ManageBac. But if you haven't noticed a welcome email from me, not from me, actually it'd be from ManageBac. If you haven't noticed a welcome email, please email me at kwilson@Academy Lafayette, and I can send you another welcome email from ManageBac. But hopefully all of you that are here tonight have already logged in and you're just trying to better understand how to make this time useful. So, or make this, this resource useful. So a couple things. So here, up here, when you click Academy Lafayette, this is how I've set up my homepage. So this is my parent homepage. And the first time, in order to set it up the way that I wanted, and there's not a lot of customization that you can do. But one of the things that, if you do want to make some changes, this little arrow here allows you to do some home customization. So there's not a whole, like I said, there's not a whole lot to change here, but what you can do, if you click here and go into edit, you can decide like what you want at the top. I think the calendar is automatically locked at the top. But if you want to put project deadlines at the top, that's particularly maybe important to some of our older students. We aren't really doing online lessons through ManageBac. Some schools do. We have some teachers who are starting to use the learning experience aspect of ManageBac so that they have, the kids are getting resources and whatnot through ManageBac. So if you'd like to see what lesson experiences are being used, you might want to put that up there. Key contacts is just going to be a link to me. The guides and handbooks, these are actually resources that are probably more important for our 11th and 12th graders because it has a lot of the guides to the diploma program. So this is where you can customize it. You could put a fancy background and it may be that over time, ManageBac will allow us to customize it more. I will say that, just to give you guys some background on ManageBac, it was originally designed not for the purpose that it's being used for today. It was originally designed actually by some IB students who were trying to help their teachers manage all of the IB assessments and documents that they were required to manage. So it came from some IB diploma candidates a number of years ago. It was like one of their school projects, and they ended up turning it into a business. So, and I'm telling you that because the way that we're using ManageBac today, although many other schools are using it around the world, it's relatively new to ManageBac. And I think one thing that I've learned in working with them in the last year, as we've gotten on board with them, is that they really they're changing things, trying to keep up with what people are wanting and what schools need. And so you will notice that things do change sometimes. So it can be a little frustrating, but just know that it's in the spirit of making it better. So here is my homepage. I thought I saw a hand go up and now I don't see that. Did somebody have a question?
Yeah, it's me, Sally.
Oh, you're fine.
I missed the first part of the meeting where you guys talked about some of this at Armour, a week ago. Can you give me more kind of the big picture of how my sixth grader is using this? Is this like all about IB, or is this like, hey, now I know everything she's assigned,
Yes. Okay, that's a great question. So I take it you have a sixth grader, is that what I heard? Is that right? Okay. Correct. So last year we brought on ManageBac to start using kind of in the middle of fall. So it didn't start at the beginning of the school year. We brought it on in the middle of fall. We were able to start using it last fall and started using it mainly as a grade book. So it was replacing Tyler because Tyler was not working well with our IB grading system. It just was never designed to do what we were trying to make it do. So we adopted ManageBac. And so teachers have slowly been migrating towards it. And this year, all teachers are using it in lieu of how we used to use Google Classroom. Now, we do have some teachers who are in the process of making that transition. And because they didn't necessarily they weren't fully ready to transfer completely to ManageBac. We have some teachers who are, and the kids too, for that matter, because it is a lot of newness, especially for our younger students. We had, so we have some teachers who are kind of in the middle trying to transition, but administration has asked that this becomes the place where, yes, as a parent, you would be able to get an idea of what assignments are due, and what the grades are throughout the course, and then also be able to keep track of due dates and things like that. So I will say that teachers, just based upon our own personal experiences with technology, some teachers have been able to move very quickly, whereas others have, they have steeper learning curves. And we are a school, so we support all of our learners, and part of it is supporting, helping our teachers get the professional development they need to be able to use it in the way that we envision. But ManageBac is supposed to be it's supposed to be able to provide you, parents and students, access to curriculum, the ManageBac curriculum, to the extent that you would want it. Not everything. You wouldn't want to be able to see it all. It'd be too much, but giving you access to the curriculum, help you see like what assignments are being posted. Some assignments are happening within ManageBac where students are completing work on ManageBac. And then also, as we start working on our services action, our service learning, students are going to like log those activities in ManageBac. They are building a portfolio as they submit work to ManageBac. A portfolio of their work is being built. Now, that doesn't mean that all student work is going to happen through ManageBac. We still value very much doing work on paper. And, even in the IB exams that our 11th and 12th graders take, they still do a lot of work for IB with pen and paper. And so this will really just be a place for students when they're doing digital work to be able to submit that work. And then you would be able to see that as well as a parent once it's been submitted. So I hope that helps you understand it. So we are, we're using it. We're using it in lots of different ways, but slowly. We're still learning how it works and how to use it in different subject matters. So now this is my parent homepage. Anytime that I log in, I land on this page, and then I can always get back to this by hitting the Academy Lafayette home. And then, as I was mentioning, I have a fake student, Susie student, and then I have my son, my real son, Stuart. So if you too have multiple children here, this is where you can toggle between your two students. So here, this is like real life. And then this is Susie, who I have in a number of different kinds of classes, just so we can maybe look at a few different things. I have her in some high school classes and some middle school classes. So it doesn't look like Susie has a project deadline coming up, but this was a learning experience from yesterday, it looks like, or she's in the middle of it. So you can see like when it's happening, it's going to be finished in 1 day and 14 hours and 15 minutes. This is an assignment that she has on her calendar. It looks like it must have been, it was a test that she took today in her high school history class. So, so that's not a lot of information, but it gives you a little glimpse into the now. And then if you click on the calendar.
Want some grape skills? They're right here.
Oh, sounds like somebody isn't muted. If you could all mute selves, excuse me, that would be great. Thank you. So I just clicked into the calendar. Now I can see this looks like September going in October. Keep in mind, Susie's in more classes than your average student. I think she's in 13 classes right now. But I can see different things that are happening in her classes. And then when I click on these, it will actually take me to that assignment. So if I want to find out more about what this is, I can look into it. And it looks like this was not an assignment that was completed in ManageBac. It was more one that was posted in the grade book, and she received 3 out of 5 local points. So it was just like a homework grade check. Let's see. So back to, looks like so back to the calendar. You can see, scroll through here. You can, so this is the end of September. You can toggle, you can look at it just for the week, which I think is kind of nice. And then over here, we have some ways to filter it. Now, I think probably for most parents, there's a lot of stuff that maybe, it wouldn't be that important for you to filter. For those of you that have been NYP parents for a while now, you know that there's a big difference between a summative assessment and a formative assessment. The summative assessments are really where the student is performing and showing how all that practice and formative assessments have played out in a summative assessment. So I could filter just to see what summative assessments does Susie have coming up. And it looks like, Oh, this is a Coates summative in-class essay. And I think that is in her English class. Oh, and there's a grade. So, so this is what I think might be the best feature for parents who are trying to help students keep track of things. If you want to know, like, just the assignment wise, what's happening, you can subscribe to this to the calendar. And I made the mistake of doing it. And then I got all of Susie's items on my calendar, which I really didn't want. But let's get me back to ManageBac here. So you can subscribe to the calendar, and like I have it coming to my Google Calendar, and I narrowed it down just to Stuart's work. So that's nice. I can ask him about what's coming up. Okay, so going back to the home page. So that was the calendar, deadlines, lesson experiences. So here, what we have here is a list of the classes that she's currently in. So let me just show you. I'll move over to Stuart so you can see. I mean, he still has quite a few classes. We have 8 different classes that our students are enrolled in at a time. So what you won't see in looking at this view is the grades. So, and I know, you know, if you've ever used PowerSchool, I know a lot of schools use PowerSchool, especially in high school, and you can log in and just see the overall grades in all classes. So, you know, an IB World School is different in that we're not constantly averaging students' grades. Instead, we're looking at specific works and levels of achievement and different criteria. So it's designed so that parents, so that you're really, to get the information, you've really got to dig into the class. So I'm going to just get into one of these classes for you. We'll go into, let me think here. Yes, Josh, you have a question?
I do.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the calendar view within the dashboard, and it's got some assignments in there, and they indicated W3 August, which I presume is week 3 within August. Is there a way to know what week we're in currently?
So, you know what? Possibly. I mean, I
might be jumping ahead. If that's fine. If that's fine,
I may be able to
I'll
answer
wait.
your question. I think that has to do with the unit that we're in.
Okay.
And I can show you. I'm going to get to that eventually.
Great. Thank you.
And Kia, I see you have a question. Do you have a question, Kia? Okay. So as I scroll, I'm trying to think of a class. I'll just go into the Spanish classroom. This is an 8th grade Spanish class. And so when you click into a classroom, you're seeing, most likely, you're going to see the most important assignments at the top, usually. You have this, although it's in Spanish, it is the current unit. And that's what I'm looking at here. So units are going to be in here, so you can see like what unit of study is happening in class as opposed to tasks. And this looks like a task that was completed already in this class. It was already something that's been, oops, keep live reading. It was already turned in. No, whoops, nope, Susie didn't turn it in. Of course she didn't, because she hasn't done any work. But so I'm going to click into this unit so you can just see, I can point out a few things. So Davin, I'm not exactly sure what you were looking at, but one thing I do want you to notice is when you go into it, when you're looking at a unit, you're going to see how many weeks the unit is going to last. And it may be that chapter 2 or whatever it was week 3 within that unit. That's my guess. So within a unit, this is where I was saying that ManageBac allows us to share information with parents about our classes and about what's happening in these classes. So this is a description of what the students are going, or how they're going to learn, or learn how to do, excuse me. All of our units have a global context. So that's part of the international curriculum, in that every MYP unit has a context through which the study is being filtered through. So in this class, they're looking at, I have no idea. Looks like they're talking about evolution. So, and then the key concept that they're exploring is culture. And I have talked to her a little bit about what they're doing, at least in one of her classes. I think they're exploring, I don't know if evolution is the right word here, but I know that they were exploring different Spanish-speaking countries around the world. So, and I think it was this class. So here you can also see like the main questions. And then these are resources the teacher has posted for the students. So if you click into that, it's a PDF. It looks like it's vocabulary for festivals. So that is one thing to take note of. I'm going to try to find a class for you that has some more assignments posted. I'm going to pick this English. Well, let me pick this English class, in middle school English class. So there's an 8th grade English class. Looks like they just had a final reflective essay here at the top. So it's usually like things that are most relevant, most current. And then these are 2 different units. It looks like they've completed this one because you can see that it's fully green. And then this is the unit that they're in currently. And then if the student has been scored using the MYP criterion, so those, as I shared earlier, like there's the 4 criterion that each course has in the MYP, and that teachers are assessing them on these 4 different criterion. So if you look in this English class, it looks like they're doing some formative assessments in all 4 criterion. And the way that I know that these are formative is that they have bars through them. The graph has bars through them. If I were to click through these, I would see like, this is how I know if this assessment has been formative or not. This one was summative, but it looks like I didn't put a grade in for Susie on that one. But what's nice here, you're looking at, so now this is a view of how this student is performing in this class. So they've got a 5 out of 8 in the analyzing criterion, 4 in organizing, and then we have producing a text and using language. So as teachers assess students in the work in these different criterion, you should, a bar graph gets developed. And so then underneath here, we see the completed tasks. And then if there's tasks that haven't been completed, but are, but have been posted, you'll also see those listed here. Yes, Catherine, how can I answer your question?
So I have a couple questions about the not submitted indication. And you noted that there's pen and paper work going on. There's also Google Docs that they create some of their work in. And then there's some group projects or collaborative projects. And I was just wondering, because my son's science teacher sent out an email and said, take a look at the assignments and what's coming up. And as I was going through, there was a number of items that were not submitted, and they were in the past. And so I started talking to my son about it. And I also talked to my daughter too, who's in the high school. And they were saying, well, that was a Google Doc, and I don't know how to get a Google Doc in there. And then they were saying, well, this was pen and paper, and I don't know how to indicate that I've submitted it. Yeah. And then there was the group project, and my daughter doesn't know how to indicate that she submitted it.
Without knowing what class, without being able to dig into the class, I can't really see how that teacher has it set up. I mean, it's a great question. So
were they trained on how to submit their Google Docs as?
Yeah, I'm not quite sure who
to
the
ManageBac?
teacher is. Yeah, I'm not quite sure who the teacher is. I don't know if they're having their own personal technical problem, but I'm using it in my class. I'm not having any problems.
So your students can take a Google Doc that they've created and then somehow upload it into ManageBac so that it updates the submitted and not submitted?
Yes.
And so were the students trained how to do that? Because neither of my kids know how to do that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Without knowing the teacher or the class, I can't tell you exactly what the particulars are. If you want to stay on and give me more information. Because
it makes it very difficult to really track what's going on if every teacher has it set up differently and everybody's on a different part of the learning curve. And then my kids have no idea how to do it. And if they have to figure out, my son has 8 classes, as you said, he's in middle school. If they got to figure out 8 different ways to interact with this because each teacher's set it up a different way, the process seems to be
Well, it's not that teachers are
quite
necessarily
there yet.
setting it up differently. I think teachers are becoming more comfortable with it at different paces. But as far as what, I haven't heard, I have my students, I'm teaching one course. My students haven't had any problems doing that. And so it just sounds like maybe you could have, if, your kids could always come by and ask me, or teachers are on different learning paces at this point, but they're trying. They really are trying. So I think, if you have a question, I would reach out directly to the teacher, and it may be that they have more figured out than we think they do. And if there's a problem with kids uploading their documents to ManageBac, I am not aware of it. So
I'll stay on afterwards because both my kids have problems with it.
Okay.
And they're in two different schools.
Yeah.
High school and middle school.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So I'm trying to think what else I was going to show you. I kind of lost track here. Let's see. I was showing you, the bar graph. Yes. Okay. So now, let's see. So going back, I always like going back to the ManageBac home. I can always reorient myself and find another class to peek into. I'm trying to think if there's another class that I might want to show you something different. I will look into maybe a diploma program class. If we look into this one, I know a lot of these teachers are starting to use more of the learning experiences. So you will start to see more of that being used. I know one thing to show you is the difference between the list view and the weekly view. So this is going to list everything, and the weekly view is just going to list what's most recent. So this unit is 3 weeks. This was a current learning experience that's happening, and it keeps scrolling down. I can see some assessment work, and these are submitted works. So this, back to your question, Catherine, the red indicates, like if you see a red not submitted, that the teacher has requested a submission and and the student hasn't submitted it. This indicates that there's been something submitted, but it hasn't been assessed yet. So this means that there was nothing, like if it says NA, there was nothing that was supposed to be submitted at all. That there was maybe it was something that was done on paper, or perhaps it was something that was, done through a Google form, something along those lines, but there was no like expectation of an upload of work. So the red, I do know, means that there was an expectation that didn't get, and the student didn't meet it. So the gray, it's been entered, work's been submitted, but not graded. And then of course, down here, you'll see that there are grades, like there's been work submitted and that there's been something graded. And the diploma program works on a different grading scale. We don't have the 4 criterion because each subject is so different that there's just a lot more flexibility in how teachers go about setting up the structure of their classes. Okay, so looking at what else you can find in ManageBac that I think is valuable. There's the dashboard, there's the portfolio, okay? And Susie is not a real student. She, as I've mentioned to you. So let me just see if I can show you what's in Stuart's portfolio. Although with it being the beginning of the year and being in 7th grade, I don't imagine there's a whole lot there. But I do know there was work in there. Okay, so there was work in here from last year. We did have some teachers who were using it, learning how to use it last year. So these are 2, this was something from his science class last year. This was from his English class last year. So these were essays that he had submitted to ManageBac, okay? And they were submitted as Google Docs and they become PDFs. So they become PDFs so that they can no longer, like in a Google Doc, as many of you know, they can be edited and they can be changed more or less. So these are the PDFs of his work. Now you're not going to find the work graded here in the portfolio, but I can see the work that he submitted to Madame Warette last year in his science class. And I've just been poking around, and it's the same for many, many other students. And let me just see, and I just didn't have any real work submitted for, or any fake work either, submitted for my fake student. But that's the portfolio. And so it's pretty exciting when we think about our sixth graders getting started, although slowly. Over time, their work it will roll over with them each year. So we will have evidence of their work over the year. And hopefully the plan is to get to the point where we can really help students become more reflective in their work and looking at their growth over time. But that will take time. And, to Catherine's point, getting all the teachers on the same page is not an easy task when we have so many different strengths and weaknesses when it comes to learning new technology. Okay, so there's the portfolio, there's discussion, and this is something your teachers, some of them are just trying it out to see how effective it is. I know Mr. White was going to try it out this week. So last week he posted a discussion, a note to all seventh grade families through the discussion. I know Madame Warette has tried using it. So, part of what they're working on is how useful is this? Would it be better if I just emailed home? And so that's part of our experimentation. So I will show you how you know if you have a message. Let me go back to this list of classes here. Okay. Let me think about how I found it. Okay. So under... Let's see. Okay, here we go. So here I'm looking at a list of his classes, and let me close this up that was showing. So here I have this is how I knew that I had a message from Mr. White in social studies. There was a message left here. So there isn't a notification automatically that, via email, but we're trying to train our students, because really this is supposed to be for students primarily. This is your teacher able to give, whole class messages here. Let me see. So that's a feature I think we're hoping to kind of adopt and use more of. And then the academic portfolio I shared with you has to do with, all right, this is where you will find, this is just his personal info, his email and whatnot, but his report card from the end of the school year last year. And you can find the report cards from, these were all, because we did do the reporting last year. This is from fourth quarter. You can find the second quarter. You can find these other report cards. So you always have access to these in ManageBac. You can even access them on the mobile app. I tried it out today. Okay, so I'm trying to think what else. So I was showing you that list of classes. Let me just go back to that real quick. So here is the list of classes. You can see how many units are currently accessible. And teachers have been asked to only show the current unit, so that when a parent clicks into their student's class, they can see what's currently happening. And here's seventh grade French, and these are the resources that the teacher's been uploading. And I know, in this class, my son has been able to upload assignments. So I know, again, Catherine, back to your point, finding out where the trouble is important to find out. There's certain teachers who are struggling with that. So these are different resources that the teacher has shared with him as he's worked in her class. And then I was just going to show you one other thing here. Back to the dashboard. You keep scrolling down. You can also access those reports that I was mentioning. You can access the portfolio of student work here, and then the reports, the grade reports are all listed here. Yes, question. Catherine, do you have a question? Okay. Does somebody else have a question?
No.
This is Emily. I just raised my hand can you explain the grades are being presented?
Do you mean in ManageBac?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when it says like there's a number in green and then it's like,
Are you looking at a diploma program class? Emily, is this Emily
Yep.
Buckley? Yeah,
Yep.
okay. Sure, let me show you one. Let me show you a diploma
I
program.
feel like they're not there
It's
were
different in
more-
the
Oh, is
diploma program is different. And I'm actually looking for a date just for my diploma program parents, not just about ManageBac, but to help you transition into understanding the differences when it comes to assessment, because it is quite different. And so that might be why you are, not sure what you're looking at. And let me pull up one of Susie's diploma program classes. Oops, where am I here? So I will look at this. I don't know that she has any grades in here. We'll look. Okay, this is for an English class. So this is showing, and so in the diploma program, the scoring is out of 7 points. They work on a different scale. And so it's the same thing in the MYP in the sense that you can see how they're trending in different assignments. But each teacher has like a breakdown for how they are weighting different assignments. Most of them, if not all of them, I shouldn't say all of them because I don't know for sure, but I know most of them are doing formative versus summative in the same way that we did in middle school. But a few of them also, because in diploma program, we have these other additional things like labs and oral presentations and things like that are weighted a little bit differently in a course, that they might have a different, weight for that assessment. So the best thing to do in finding out, in a particular diploma program class or 11th and 12th grade classes is to reach out to the teacher, and it should be posted on their syllabus. Does that help, Emily?
I think so.
Well, you can always reach out to the teacher. But and real quick, you guys, it's easy to find the teacher's email addresses in ManageBac. I know sometimes that can be hard to track down your teacher. The teacher's information, if you're in the class, is going to be on the right-hand side. So you'll always be able to access. I think that will probably just populate your email client if you clicked on it.
Yep. Hey, and a side question, I'm trying to kind of follow along on my phone on the app. It's a little different, but mostly you're suggesting like everything that's on the browser view that you're showing here should be available on the app.
It is. And you know what? I've had a lot of people tell me they actually prefer the app. Once they get it, once they understand all that ManageBac has to offer, that they feel like it's a little bit more intuitive. But you should be able to access reports, the progress reports and end of the year reports on the mobile app. You should also be able to access the calendar and grades and all of those things. It does look a little bit different. But the nice thing that I have found, what I'm enjoying in using it, is you can get notifications just like you can on any app. So you can control your notifications in the same way that, within the app, you can identify, decide what kinds of notifications you would like to get. So if when a grade's posted or when a new assignment's posted, that's where, I'm hearing people really like that. You will, if you have all of your notifications selected, you will get a lot of notifications because it will let you know just about anytime anything new is happening in your class. So, but I'm finding that nice. We've also, our high school teachers have started just in this last few days using the messaging. We'll be able to message our parents through the app and them us. And so we're kind of piloting it with the high school to see if it's something that we want to expand to the middle school. So I think that will be particularly helpful if you have a student who you're really trying to help get organized and keep track of their assignments and better understand how to self regulate and self-organize. I think that could be pretty helpful. Okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I haven't shared. Otherwise, I would like to answer your questions and hopefully I can. Those guides and handbooks, just so you know, may not be particularly helpful in the sense that they're not going to be for particular classes. But what you will find is, if you have a 10th grader and they're working on the personal project, this just gives you more information about the personal project and expectations around service. But these are all guides that have been provided by ManageBac themselves because they, they support teachers as well. But this is also, these have been designed for parents and teachers and students. Okay, what other questions? Yes, Catherine.
So is there a word limit on the teacher feedback in ManageBac? Because one of the critiques just stopped mid-sentence.
Oh, you know what? I am not sure. I haven't.
It was like the second paragraph that the teacher was writing, but it just stopped mid-sentence.
It just got cut off. I have not heard that there is, but I could definitely, there perhaps is. I mean, I could look into it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'm glad you're able to see the comments. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to bring ManageBac on. And so you guys were getting more data about what's happening in the classroom.
Hey, Katie, this is Stephanie. I have a question for you.
Stephanie Cook?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. First of all, thank you. I know this is a lot of work and you've done a really great job helping train people and get people kind of ready for this. Yeah. I think one thing I'm struggling with as a parent is, we're so used to kind of having stuff on different platforms, like we get grades from one thing and then we go to Google Classroom for one thing. So it's nice in a sense that this is kind of all on one platform, but it feels like a lot of knowledge and a lot of stuff all at once. Yes. If I just want to kind of daily see what is my kid's assignment, how can I help them weekly with their homework assignments, what's maybe just the easiest way to do that? Because the calendar's color coded. I don't know if calendar's the best way to see what's coming up. I don't know if
that's probably the best way. And let me look this is Susie. Like I said, she has 13 classes. Let me go back to Stuart. His is less intimidating. And I have her in so many classes because I need to try out different classes. Let me toggle to Stuart and I'll show you what I do as Stuart's parent. Although I don't feel like I have to. So what's nice is you can isolate it down to one class to classes over here. It's like what's happening in social studies. Okay, so these, I can tell, like I'm looking at that these are notes that were due. Okay, the deadline for the notes was September 1st, and we're looking at the beginning of September, so this is old, but they also had a quiz over pre-Columbian civilization. So, to me, this is useful. I can say to Stuart, hey, how was that quiz over pre-Columbian civilization? As I scroll down here, it is color coded by these filters here. You could also, like, if you just wanted to look at, like if I just wanted to look at quizzes, I can see, okay, so this is the quiz. These are the quizzes that he's had. What quizzes are coming up? Whoops. See if I can find one. Okay, so I know he's going to have a quiz actually on Friday. So again, you could filter it to the classes that maybe you're most interested in or most concerned about, because we have asked teachers to all start, work towards getting important dates on the calendar so that, our students can see the big picture. And the other important piece of this, this is something I know kids have talked to us about for many years, is it feels like everything lands on the same day. Like everyone, they have, projects due on the same day and then a test the next day. And so this is also another way for teachers. We all can see these calendars. So we can see, if you're a 7th grade teacher, you can see what your colleagues are all assigning so that you can pick due dates that, are maybe going to be less overwhelming for your students. So unfortunately, it may be more information, but I think that then some of us may want. But I think the best way to maybe make it useful to you is to use this filter off to the side. I don't think also, Stephanie, I'm thinking like when I subscribe to the calendar, I think I'm just getting like due dates. I'm not getting absolutely everything.
Like for
So-
homework assignments or something?
Yeah. Yeah. So you might play around with that too. I don't know if there's a way, like when you subscribe, if there's a way to filter what you get. I could play around with that more and see if I could figure out. But, and then the other thing too is like, this is, if I keep scrolling down in this calendar, you can see the most current, like these are the upcoming events and deadlines down here. So I can see these dates, which honestly, like there is a lot because they have a lot going on, right? And this is what we've been asking these kids to keep track of, you know, through Google Classroom, which Google Classroom did not have the functionality of creating a calendar for them so they could see it visually, and then being able to see their classes kind of lining up with others, and then teachers couldn't see each other's Google Classrooms. Like there's so many benefits to doing it this way. And it does feel like a lot of information. And I think it's just going to take us, and me included, time to understand how, you know, each of us needs to use all this information in the ways that we need it. You know, I don't really have to manage my son much. He's pretty good about keeping track of his dates so far, but I don't know what it's going to be like, you know, in November when, you know, there's a lot more going on. So it's just nice knowing that I'll be able to check on him this way. What else can I answer for you?
Katie, this is Emily again. Can you remind me about what the ATL skills are that you guys were trying to focus on this year?
That was on my list. I'm so glad you brought it up. Yes. So the ATL skills, the approaches to learning skills, are the skills, like there's 5 cluster areas. So it's social, it's research, it's thinking skills, it's self-management, and then what am I missing here? But I have to list all 5. I can't. Communication skills. So teachers in each of their units, and I'll go ahead and I will pick a 7th grade, let's see, 7th grade science unit here. So the teachers in each unit, they're picking 1 or 2 ATL skills that they're going to focus on teaching within their content. So in Madame Desbled's science class here, you can see that she's in this class, they're going to be working on the research cluster. And then it even gives us more information. It's about collecting and recording data. So I know that's part of what's happening in this unit. And then also interpreting data and drawing conclusions. Like this very much sounds like the kinds of things that she has students do. So when I click into those units, that's the kind of information that for me as a parent is helpful. I know what kinds of skills are being worked on. So on our progress report, so on Stuart's progress report at the end of October, he will be getting some feedback from the teacher about how he is doing on those 2 ATL skills in science. And it's not like a letter grade or a number grade. It's like exceeding expectations, meeting expectations, approaching expectations, or below expectations. So it really is, it's based on the teacher's observations. And then teachers are also going to be asking students to self-assess at that same time as a point of discussion. So that's the plan. And that's only really happening in our MYP classes. That's going to be 6th through 10th grade. And in the diploma program, I don't know how else to put it other than they're working on all of the ATL skills throughout those courses on a regular basis. And the whole point of having the ATL skills in the middle years program is to help support kids to be ready for that diploma program. And the idea is that if they have these skills, if they've learned these skills, they have the approaches to learn any subject. And so that is our plan with the ATL skills.
Okay, but that's fairly new. So the diploma students, they're just kind of getting all of it all at once, right? Like,
well, no, because they were always there. The skills have always been there. It's just we haven't been as direct in our approach to talking with the kids about them and having them be more self-aware. The skills have always been in the IB curriculum.
Okay. All right, that helps. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, any other questions? Please know that my email address is also very easy to find on, I'm going to show you on ManageBac as well. Oh, you know what? I moved it because I was trying to make this look more interesting. You can add key contact. Move this down. There you go. Okay. And now, yeah, now you can easily contact me that way. I think it automatically defaults that way. So yours is probably might already be set up so that you can find my contact information. Okay, well, please, I think, Catherine, you wanted to stay on with a couple of questions. That would be fine. And please, everybody know that you can email me. I answer a lot of questions, whether it be via email or over a quick video call or something like that. Yes, Joe.
Is there a way to filter and look at just tasks that have, what's it called, not been submitted or are late?
You know, I don't know that question. So like filter out so you can just see what's missing in a class. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yes, exactly.
Yeah, filter out completed tasks. I need to ask ManageBac. That isn't something I've tried. Off the top of my head, I would say I don't think so, but oftentimes I ask questions that I think they're not going to be able to, that I can't do. And then they're like, well, actually you can. And they just have to show me. I will add that question to my next meeting with them.
Okay, thanks.
Uh-huh. And feel free to follow up, by the end of next week if you want to find out. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, Sarah.
Hi there. It might be a really basic, kind of silly, rudimentary question, but is what I'm seeing in the system as a parent the same thing that my child is seeing when they log into their account?
For the most part, the students can see more because because they have access to uploading things and they have access to more of the instructions, I think, than maybe you do. I really don't know exactly what the difference is but as far as the curriculum, the units, students and parents see the same thing. And then I think the difference is the student just has the information they need to upload an assignment if it's an assignment that is being uploaded to ManageBac. But one thing that, in our transition, if you ever we're at the middle school when we use Tyler, Tyler was really just about the grades. We didn't have any information about what the assignment was about, what the topic was, other than the title of the assignment. So some teachers are still just, because they're doing the work in the classroom, they may just have the title of the assignment and a grade. And so there wouldn't be more information there. But for the work where students are starting to, whether it be a lesson experience that's happening in ManageBac, like maybe they're going through some slides that the teachers provided, and working on, collaborating on something with the student next to them, the student would probably be able to see that and you may not be able to. But I'm not sure. Let me just double check something and see. I might be able to answer that question. I'm going to go, let's see.
I mean, that will be helpful to know for sure. But then I'm just on a foundational basis, like, do they have access to different tools in terms of like a task list or something, kind of to Stephanie's earlier question about like just being able to see what's on their to-do list, or do they need to just toggle through every class or look at the calendar? Because I'm looking at the calendar and I only see due dates for, tests and things. I don't see actual assignment due dates.
Okay, so I'm looking here. So this was an assignment that was posted, and this is the Google Drive coursework submission. She did not submit it, but this is all, if I click into this, let's see. It doesn't look like parents have access to any more information than just what the assignment was about versus, versus the instructions. So let me just go into Susie's, I have a student account, so I can show you what it looks like from a student's perspective. It doesn't look that different, to be honest. In a lot of ways, there's just a little bit more information that they have access to because they're the student doing the work. So that class that I was just in. Okay, so this is the student view. So you can see that there is more information that they have access to. This is their latest activity. So this was the unit. This was an assignment from today. Is that right? No, that's not it. Let's see. This was the assignment I was looking at earlier. So yeah, I mean, it really is about the same information. Yeah, I mean, it does look a little bit different. I can't exactly tell you why, what it is that looks different, but it looks like maybe I think what it's doing is it's easier to see the connection between the assignment and what unit it is connected to. But you can see where this is where the student would add that assignment, and they can't add the assignment now because the due date's passed, but this is where the student would upload it. It would say what time and whatnot. So it does look a little bit different, but not much.
Okay. But they did have, whatever the screen you were on earlier seemed to have like an activity list. That's helpful as well. I almost wish that we had access to that, just so we could see what they've uploaded or what.
Well, and that's what the portfolio is, right? So the portfolio, if there's been work that's been submitted, it lands in the portfolio.
Oh, okay.
So you can always see that. Now you aren't going to see grades in the portfolio. The grades will only be in the grade book or within the unit that they're currently working in. You won't see the work graded, but you should be able to see graded work. Like Catherine was mentioning earlier, comments that were left by a teacher, you would be able to see that information within the grade book, but not in the portfolio, because the portfolio just holds like clean copies of things versus assignments that maybe had comments directly on them.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I'll definitely play around with it. And
I know. I mean, I hate saying it, but ultimately, the more you play around with it, the more you learn. I mean, it's just like anything else. And I understand that ManageBac, because it's doing so many different things that aren't necessarily important to parents, like having all that unit information and having all of the classes in the same place. It's actually, from an IB teacher standpoint, it is so nice having all of this in one place versus the 3 or 4 different places we were going before. So I know it's going to take time before it really seems like it's fully functioning in the way that we want it to, but it's making it is heading in the right direction in a lot of ways.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, thank you all for joining me. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I will go ahead and have this video uploaded to the school website next week. And so you can access it later if you need to see something. Oh, real quick, one more thing I should show you. Even parents have access to the ManageBac help here. You can do a search here for some of those questions that come up if you can't find something that you want to find. And I will say that it will spit back the bot will spit back a few different things, and maybe one of them will be what you wanted, but most likely you'll have a video to watch or like a series of images to follow to help you find something, or find out how to do something, I should say. But yeah, this might be helpful to some of you as you're getting more comfortable using it. Okay, well, thank you all again for coming, and please reach out via email if you would like more information or have specific questions.
Thanks, Katie.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Hey, Katie, this is Catherine. I'm still here.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you are there.
Thank you.
What was your, remind me of what your specific question was you wanted to know?
Sure. Can we stop the recording though?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
I went and found a specific example for my son's middle school. It's the Spanish teacher.
Okay.